Now, one thing I did brag about this weekend to anyone who would hear is that I only brought a carry-on. And actually half of my carry-on space was dedicated to what I needed to wear the green poly dress with the bustle. And so I do want to just emphasize how great this bustle is for traveling, and that also you don't feel like you're making a sacrifice by bringing this bustle instead of a different bustle, because it looks fantastic, if I do say so myself, when you're wearing it. It's very, very comfortable to wear, and you don't really have to manage it at all when you go to sit down. So even in a crowded restaurant, you basically kind of forget that it's there, and as far as I'm concerned, that is the best kind of bustle. It looks good and forgettable in terms of wear comfort is just fantastic. So just as a note for anybody thinking about how they want to embrace their bustle life, this particular bustle by Truly Victorian, highly recommend. And especially if you're someone who doesn't necessarily have huge collections of different kinds of wires, and maybe you don't want to be tipping wires or cutting wires, that's how I am. I don't want to deal with any of that. You can actually buy sets of the wires already the correct length from Truly Victorian as a kit. Hello, Editing Laurie here. I've just come down to my pattern vault to confirm. I went and looked on the website for Truly Victorian, and apparently they are no longer carrying the wire kits, which I don't love, especially since I already put it in the video that they make those kits. But I did want to confirm that if you can't buy a kit, which right now you can't, in beginning of 2025, you can't. Maybe that will change, who knows. But I just wanted to double check that the pattern instructions give you enough information to still make the pattern. I don't know about you guys, but I have previously purchased slipper patterns from other companies and been annoyed when one of the notions I needed is a slipper sole that I actually could not purchase anymore. But they did point out, even in the instructions from the very beginning, that it is not a one-size-fits-all wire situation. The wire lengths are going to change based on how big your pattern is, which makes sense because if a hip size is extra small, you wouldn't want the same size bustle as someone whose hip size is an extra large, or whatever metric you're using. So I'm just double checking that it has the lengths of wires that need to be cut. So bear with me. Aha! Yes! Charts! My favorite. So we have charts for I don't know how much of their instructions they would want me to show, but they do have charts here for the lengths of bones, and you need 4 different lengths of bones, or 4 different bones, and they're all different for each size. So from small all the way up through 2XL, which they are saying is a waist, from a 20-inch waist all the way up to a 46-inch waist. So it's quite a nice range of sizes here, which is great. But they do have the different wire lengths based on the size of the garment that you're going to make. And they also, I loved this, and the ruffles for the overlay, those are also cut depending on the size of the garment you're making. Instead of having separate pattern pieces for each ruffle, they just say how wide, how long each one needs to be, which I thought was really nice. So let me just, based on the actual garment, as seen in Harper's Bazaar, it is a moderately sized bustle. Obviously there are smaller ones and bigger ones in this one. I think it's definitely pushing on the large end, at least for me, but I'm also not aiming for, super Grand Duchess level of fanciness, which is fine. It says here it can be used for either 1870s or 1880s bustle dresses, and I agree with that as well. So yeah, I gotta say that I cannot recommend this pattern highly enough. Again, it isn't like I've made 100 different kinds of bustles, but I feel like they really hit it out of the park with this pattern. So then you only have to worry about the fabric and getting it to fit right and, you know, actually making the thing. But overall construction for this was really, really easy. Again, super pleased with the result. I have worn it before. I haven't traveled with it before. And honestly, like 10 out of 10, no notes. Of course, I don't expect you to take my word for it, so I wanted to show you some of the details behind this guy. So basically, there's a wire cage situation underneath, and then you build a second layer on top, which lays and kind of helps cover the shape of the wires. And what's kind of fun, and I didn't show this, is that when you are ready to take it off and pack it or put it in your suitcase, you actually untie some ties that are underneath that hold the wires in this round position, and then it can actually be rolled up and be pretty flat and fit right in my very small carry-on. And here showing that it is very easy and comfortable to sit. I've even driven in this Bustle with no problem. So if you are considering adding a Bustle to your life and you're not sure of the right pattern, I can highly, highly recommend this one. The hawk just landed on there.
Where?
There's a hawk on the mill.
He's on the mill?
Right there. See him? Oh my god, he's so pretty.
I don't see him. Do you want to go?
Oh my gosh, screw my picture. There he
Oh,
goes.
wait, now I see him.